This is the Allegheny Front. I'm Carol Holsopple, and I'm at the South Shore Riverfront Park and Trail in Pittsburgh's South Side neighborhood. I'm here with Monica Garrison. She's the founder of Black Girls Do Bike. Hi, Monica. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. So I think I'll let you explain what is Black Girls Do Bike.
Black Girls Do Bike is an opportunity for women of color who enjoy cycling to come together. So our goal is to get women who are already actively cycling to meet one another, organize for rides, support, skills share, but also we're seeking what we call the bike curious. So we want people who aren't riding their bikes regularly to use this as an opportunity to get on their bikes.
So it's an online kind of forum, but there are physical chapters.
Right. It started as a Facebook page, kind of like a, hey, here's a pep rally for Black Girls on Bike, come join us. And then we eventually started a website, and now we have expanded to include over 40 cities in the U.S., and we have ladies there. We call them sheroes. They take the lead in each of these cities. You pay no dues to join. You simply show up with your bike and ride. And the goal is at least to have one monthly ride that's like no woman left behind. If you show up, no matter where you're riding, no matter what you're wearing, we welcome everyone, and then we just casually take a ride together. I always want to express that Black Girls Do Bike it's a cause. So we encourage women of all shades to ride with us. Now we do specify Black women. Clearly our name implies that. But that's because of a couple of reasons. Black women are underrepresented in the cycling community in general. So we hope to change that. And also the statistics are pretty alarming in terms of the diseases that we become victims of, like diabetes and heart disease. The goal is always to get out and increase their physical activity, which can also have a good effect on those things that are hurting their health.
Talk about where you got the idea to start the group. What was the impetus?
So I'm from Pittsburgh, so I was riding around one summer and I was like, man, this is like, I felt like a kid again. You know, I enjoyed it, and it reminded me of the good old days. And I have two little ones, so they were joining me, and I was finding that cycling was a great activity to get them outdoors and away from the iPad. And as I was riding, I noticed quickly that there weren't many other African-American women on the trails. And I thought, you know, either we're not out there or we haven't discovered how amazing cycling is. So I wanted to do something to change that, or at least seek out other women who had a similar interest that I did in cycling.
How did you come up with the name?
It really was a question, because I thought, am I the only one? You know, or at least in my city, are there other women like me? So the question was, do Black Girls bike? And I thought, well, let's answer that question, and let's answer it in the affirmative and see what happens.
But you mentioned that there were fewer African-American women out and about. So conversely, why don't Black girls bike?
Sure. I think there are a couple of reasons. I think a lot of activities that women in general, engage in, they do it maybe because they have a role model or they see someone else doing it, and then they realize that it's possible for them. So for some people, that's a barrier. If you don't have an African-American, professional cyclist, for instance, or if you don't see African-American women riding around in your neighborhood, the thought may never cross your mind that, hey, I could hop on my bike and go to the grocery store, because people don't seem to do it. So that's one thing. Also, as mothers and caretakers, we're busy, so that can be an obstacle too, having little ones to take care of, or, trying to balance a career and motherhood and other things. So we may just not have the time to do it. There are lots of reasons or obstacles, you could say. Just to find the motivation to do it sometimes is hard. And if you are a minority in, for instance, the cycling community, it might be hard to walk into a bike shop and you might be intimidated by, an all-male staff, or clothes and gear that aren't geared towards you. So you may never make that leap. Again, our goal is to help you overcome those obstacles, but they are certainly there.
How does being outdoors sort of figure into your experience or your enjoyment of cycling?
Being outdoors is what it's all about. Between the fresh air and the sounds and the sights, you truly do see things when you're riding past them that you would on a bike that you would never catch on a car, for instance.
Can you give me an example?
Like murals and artwork, so that kind of stuff that you would never really catch the detail in. Actually, one of my goals is to take a trip around the city. I've already mapped all the murals I want to see, and see them all by bike and see how that goes.
Cool, art by bike.
Mm-hmm.
How has this group changed your experience of cycling? Do you feel like you're more part of a community now?
I do. That was the first thing I noticed, actually, because I'm a pretty private person. So my goal was to create this space and allow others to kind of navigate it. but I was contacted almost immediately by, groups who had similar interests, and they said, we love what you're doing, keep it up. It was just simply encouragement. They really let me know that I'm welcome in this community, so that feels really good, and it spurs me on as well.
How can cities or communities or even outdoor groups encourage more diversity?
The goal would be, okay, what is your experience? How is it unique? How is it different from mine? And then engaging in those conversations to figure out how you can actually help, instead of preaching. Get in there, pull your sleeves up, get dirty, and find out how you can actually help.
Where do you go from here? What do you hope will happen with Black Girls Do Bike?
A few things we'd like to see is an international chapter. I've had some interest recently, a gentleman in West Africa who says, I have some ladies who would love to be Black Girls Do Bike supporters. So who knows? In the next couple of months, we may see a West Africa Black Girls Do Bike chapter. Also, planning rides, I guess. I would love to organize a national meetup so that all these ladies who are communicating online and helping each other could spend some time together.
That's great, this idea that came out of your head and here in Pittsburgh that's sort of spread possibly internationally.
Yeah. It amazes me every time I think about it. I get that pinch myself moment. Especially, ladies are always sending me pictures when they complete a do-a-thon or a triathlon, and they're wearing their Black Girls Do Bike shirts, and it's like, I had a part in that, Of course, they'd be doing those amazing things anyway, but probably the most fulfilling thing is when we have ladies who purchase bikes for the first time or get their old bikes out of the garage and come for a ride, and they say, look, I haven't been on a ride, on my bike in 10 years, but I want to, you guys are having fun. I want to join. I want to get my health in order. And they make that leap, and then they become regulars on our rides. Then that tells me that it's working. It's causing things to change.
I love the photos on your website, though. Like, everyone's got these huge smiles.
Yeah, well, you can't ride a bike and not smile. I'm pretty convinced. Like, I never get off my bike and I'm like, man, I wish I didn't do that. Like, it's always a good experience. I think you're always better for having done it. So,
Monica, thank you so much for talking to me.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Monica Garrison is the founder of Black Girls Do Bike, and we'll have more about Monica and her organization on our website. That's AlleghenyFront.org. This is the Allegheny Front. I'm Carol Holsopple.